Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Imadul Kareem. I'm head of Department of Business Administration at Greenwich University. I welcome you all on behalf of Greenwich University to this webinar session. The topic of the webinar is Emerging Digital Economy and COVID-19. To talk on this topic, we have a panel of speakers. From Pakistan, we have Mr. Asim Beg. He is the sales management professional. Then we have from UK, Dr. Akinomo Ordon. He is the Africa Strategy Advisor at Lancaster University, UK, and CEO EnviroFly Consulting UK Limited. Then we have from Pakistan, Mr. Ali Saeed. He will join us in a while. Uh, he is the Chief Executive of SAO Capital Private Limited. The moderator for today's webinar is Mr. Faisal Ansari, who is a banker by profession. Okay, over to you, Mr. Faisal Ansari. You can start the session now.
Thank you, Imad Saab. I welcome again Asim Saab, Dr. Odon, and Imad Karim Saab, and Ali Saeed in absentia. All right, fact of the matter is that the recent change that we have seen in today's world, the COVID-19 outbreak has led to revised growth forecast for the global economy. Every aspect of our lives has been affected by the outbreak. Its impact on economic activity is extremely broad, from dramatically diminished consumer discretionary spending to a freeze on business activities, including capital budgets, hiring, and a reduction in everything but essential operational expenses. Even so, it is clear that under the current conditions, some businesses may become more critical to our lives and could face an increase in demand, such as in the case of information and communication technology (ICT) industry. During the global pandemic, digital technologies have become a critical enabler of connectivity, facilitating the continuity of our regular lives and connecting people more than ever before. As cities and countries have been asking the population to stay at home, more people have turned to their computers and smartphones as a lifeline and tools to substitute their in person activities online. Some of the habits may continue in the new normal, or at least until longer long-term solutions to the current challenges, such as a vaccine is circulated and cured, from this disease, hopefully. Hence, the need to access a reliable digital infrastructure has become increasingly important, and certain aspects of ICTs are critical in a period of isolation, such as increased ICT opportunities from telecom industry, food deliveries, and logistics, online and contactless payments, remote learning, and entertainment. Uh, to highlight this, we at Greenwich University have conducted a webinar today on the emerging digital economy and COVID-19. So to begin with, I would like to throw a first question to Dr. Odon. That Where do you see the financial world and the future of digital currency in this pandemic?
So good question. Thank you very much for an incredible webinar. And I think it's quite timely and relevant, especially in the space we live. And I think to kind of answer that question, I want to give a prelude. See, the point is, what the pandemic has done, whether people look at it that perspective or not, is there is a positivity to the pandemic. And I mean, I know I appreciate the fact that there are sentiments around lots of death that has happened and people have been going through lots of chaos. But if you flip it over, and I see as the fact that um, challenges like this actually gives a basis, opportunities for creativity, innovation, and development. And in within that space of those challenges, the resilience of the human mind, the resilience of the professional space, give credence to the fact that once you understand your positioning within this COVID era, this COVID challenge that we all face in the global premise, what it does is it gives you the potential to think outside the box and be a bit more innovative in your approach to things. I think financially, it also impacts on your capacity to spend, capacity to invest, but also it also impacts on your capacity to actually earn. So I'll give you a simple example. I remember something last year when it so suddenly hit me that unless you view the pandemic as an opportunity in that space, you would struggle. Was when I think I put on CNN and I watched a news item about a couple who got married, the American couple. And what was interesting is the fact that the priest who wedded them was a different location. The lady who was playing the piano for the wedding was a different location. Then you had family and friends in different locations. And well, the good thing was that the bride and groom were in the same location. If not, that would have been a very interesting virtual wedding for real. So, but it got me thinking. It got me thinking that, wait a minute, before the pandemic, obviously after the wedding, they were asking the groom, what do you think about the wedding? And he said in clear terms that is the cheapest and most engaging wedding he would ever have imagined, because families and friends who were not would have been able to attend the wedding if it was a physical one actually attended, and it was an amazing celebratory occasion. Now it got me thinking, what are the specific things they needed to make the wedding happen? Internet. Internet was always there before the pandemic. Maybe a nice, beautiful camera. Well, there were cameras before the pandemic, okay? Maybe some kind of a logistical coordination so everybody could send in at the same time. Well, that was easy. So what's my point exactly? Resources abound continually around within you. But what happens is, except you get bumped by obstacles, you are never able to get yourself to the point of creative thinking and innovation to be able to provide solutions to problems. So basically, for career resilience, which obviously alludes to those premises of being able to grow your capacity, to grow your revenue base, increase your finance space. But the point is, those spaces are only available once you are able to be resilient in the space of crisis. So for me, COVID is a huge opportunity for students and professionals to think a bit more creatively. What can you do? What are the gaps and niches that has been established as a result of the impact of these obstacles to be able you to flow and function appropriately to capitalize and take advantage of these spaces? I mean, I can use myself as an example. My job fully depended on traveling. If I didn't travel, I didn't earn, because I had to travel to Ghana, travel to Nigeria, go to Zambia to go and deliver training programs to university management, to corporate organizations. And then the pandemic hit. Now I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to be very broke. You see, but the point is, all the content that was required that I delivered those training videos face to face were my content. They were my intellectual property. So I spent like 3 months putting together a series of international online programs, which was launched. If I told you that the numbers of students I got on my training programs in a space of 4 months was a lot more than all the training I've done in 3 years. See, but those opportunities were always there. I mean, I had in excess of 5,000 trainees over a space of 2 months. How could that have happened if I had to travel? What's my point exactly? Everybody listening to us and facing this crisis, step outside the crisis, view it holistically. What are the channels, the niches, the spaces that has been created? Because people still have to feed. People still have to buy stuff. What in your own space? If you're to consider a ramification of the impact, what new spaces has been provided? That is the beauty of the digital economy. The Industrial Revolution 4.0 is positioning place individuals in spaces where they can take advantage of and grow their capacity.
Right, you're absolutely right. I must correlate over here that State Bank of Pakistan has taken the initiative of payback, which was, as it was not interested earlier. Now it has multifoldedly increased and adopted by the banks. So you're absolutely right. Opportunities were around us, but it totally depends upon us. How do we utilize those opportunities in order to gain the maximum advantage of that? Now over here, as you mentioned, that internet was here. Cameras were around us and all such things. So my next question is to Asim Beg Saab, that how do you see the impact on the telecom network, like submarine cables, fiber optics, etc., and the performance, financial and access feasibility can be managed because they were around us, they are around us, and how they are financially become savvy to be adopted by all of the individuals. How do you see it?
Thank you, Faisal sir, for giving me this opportunity. Uh, yes, we. The first thing is that nowadays there is one basic concept that is a new one, and for the last couple of months, we all are hearing this thing, the new normal. So when we talk about the new normal is not only for the consumers, but the new normal is also for the business community. Now, especially for the business community. And as Dr. Odon said, that the opportunities were already there, but we were unable to see those opportunities. So yes, COVID-19 has given us an opportunity to find out the gap, the market gap, though the market gap was already there. Now, this is the most important thing. Digitization is bringing what? Digitization, as Dr. Odon said, that digitization, what he said, I'm just trying to say it in a different manner, that digitization brought the market closer to the seller. Digitization bridged the gap between the seller and the buyer. Dr. Odon talked about the training programs. So he's a seller, okay, and the market. So digitization and COVID-19 brought what? Seller and the marketplace close to each other, though the market was already there before COVID-19. The telecommunication industry was already there. So, yes, Dr. Odon was right that we take it positively. Most of the time, we talk about the negative aspects of COVID-19, but just see that now the market gap was identified by the true entrepreneurs, and they are continuously identifying new opportunities to serve the customers, because now the customers are within the reach, and now there is no concept of boundary. The first thing. Now let me say the other perspective. Digitization brought many organizations to reach. The second thing is that many new people, so entrepreneurs, are coming into the business community, and they are bringing the new products and services into this market. And they are improving, they are establishing their businesses. Now, the biggest problem is that when you are serving the customers, you need what? You need to satisfy the customers. Now, in COVID-19 pandemic, the customers are accepting whatever the services we as a business community are providing to the consumers. But once the COVID-19 is over, once the consumers are in the market, so then they are not going to buy the products from those organizations that are digitally sound, but they are going to buy the products who are satisfying the customers. And to satisfy the customers, the most important thing other than product is the service. And when we talk about the service, we are talking about salespeople. We are talking about the ones who are in front of the customers. Once the product is delivered, even digitally, and if they have any issues, I'm talking about from Pakistan's perspective. In Pakistan, people feel good when they are interacting with the persons. So in that organization, and then that perspective, Pakistani organizations need to develop the sales side in such a manner that whenever there is a problem, whenever there are grievances from the customer side, there is someone who is ready to listen and solve their problems. And the problem is that Pakistani organizations are not capable enough to train salespeople. They believe that digitization and through social media platforms and social media management consultants would be enough for improving and enhancing the sales volumes. But I think that if the salespeople, fully trained salespeople, are not there, if the organizations are not spending money on the sales force, the frontliners, so then slowly and gradually, only those organizations would survive who are able to have fully trained salespeople and who could manage and handle the customers.
Well, absolutely right. And I believe that this is the change that we need to foresee. Now, I would like to ask Ali Saeed Saab's opinion on, as Asim Saab has mentioned. So I just want that, does digital
Faisal Saab, you've just ran on mute.
My bad. All right. Thank you for highlighting it. So my question was that does digital infrastructure increase social and economic resilience?
Okay, now when you talk about social and economic, I'd like to take them to different parameters of the business world. Social is how we interact with others around us, and maybe businesses interact with us. So there's a lot of memo marketing, there's a lot of metagate marketing and metacognition based marketing that's happening all over the world. Of course, the Amazons and the eBays have now become digital platforms that are somehow socially involved because there are peer-to-peer selling. But when you look at economics, I think the world will at least take 2021. 2020 was the year of suffering. 2021 will be the year of getting back on your feet. The world and the economic systems in the world have experienced fourth stage cancer, and they are still not able to eliminate the cancer. We have limited the cancer. We've somehow understood how this cancer spreads into the world, but we have not eliminated it yet. No single country has been able to do it. So I think 2021 is going to be a year where the world, the entire human race, the economic infrastructure, the social infrastructure, the governance of a lot of countries will fight this pandemic. And of course, we will see a robust demand, a V-shaped recovery in demand for all industries. But 2022 and 2023 are likely going to be years where we are going to witness an economic turnaround. Now, so the second part of your question was socioeconomics. Yes, I agree with both the speakers before me. They were very right. Now the world has understood the importance of these digital products. These digital products were always there, but because there was a brick and mortar store available just around the corner, I would feel a lot more comfortable going there and shopping there. But now with COVID-19, because of the social distancing and all the ailments that are processed with the pandemic, I would be much more comfortable downloading content or buying from an online store or an online delivery platform such as Careem or Foodpanda or Bikea. So I think, yes, the internet has served as the backbone layer, as the biggest platform in COVID-19. Right now, we are communicating. We might be sitting in different corners of the world, but we are communicating using a platform called the internet. The internet is now experiencing a generation of second-degree platforms. So Careem is a second-degree platform. Foodpanda is a second-degree platform. Zoom is a second-degree platform. And I think in the future, we'll be moving towards third-degree platforms that would be using the internet and Zoom and would be providing you with educational services. So I think the world is now moving towards a truly digital 4.0 parameter. We've always had this technology, but now for the first time, we are going to envisage this technology. We are going to somehow absorb this technology. And for a lot of people in my age, and I'm 40, and people above my age were very reluctant to come to technology. And I think these were the people which were the hardest hit with the pandemic. And therefore, we'll see a lot of change in that segment, because the younger generation was always glued to Facebook and eBay and Amazon. But it was the older generations that were taking time, which had monetary advantages over their younger peers. They were taking a lot of time to convert. But I think the conversion will be a lot faster now. And that's exactly why if you look at any of these companies, they're trading at abnormal multiples. Companies like Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, Zynga, all these Uber, all of these companies are trading at some extremely rich valuations. From a stock market perspective, they're trading at valuations that the human race has never, ever witnessed in the history of financial markets. And the reason is because the growth is going to be unparalleled. So COVID-19, of course, it has had its deep impact. A lot of people have died, and that's just a very strong impact that, as a human being, I feel for those that have lost their loved ones. But I think it has opened the Pandora box for a socio-economic revolution. So to answer your question, there is going to be a very strong socio and economic revolution. And I think this is going to be just a beginning of a series of socio-economic revolutions that is going to hit every part of the world.
All right. So, as Dr. Odo, Asim Saab, and Ali have highlighted, that it is the new normal. The world is going to see a change in the platforms. Now, my question to Dr. Odon is, as you have mentioned that your main, traveling was your main step towards achieving your work. And as you have seen, and as you have mentioned, that internet has changed the platform. So where do you see that the travel industry will see the impact of this change as we are getting used to of this? For example, we are sitting in our own premises and talking, to each other through this new medium and platform. So where do you see, travel industry will be down the line, especially in 2021, because they need to come out of the crisis that they were into, especially in 2019 and 2020.
So this is why I say. So at some point, people will start traveling. People will always travel. I mean, the pandemic has reduced substantially traveling capacities and travel potentials. You see, but the way I say is this: you will discover that what COVID has done is given companies a basis to see themselves as multi-layer providers. So, for example, a company who used to produce, if you like, just supply or give access to educational products in maybe secondary school level, now is saying, well, wait a minute, maybe I can add university level, tertiary level to my product service. And so individuals, so I'll give an example. So banking corporations, I've been engaging with banks recently. Now, before COVID, banks' major portfolio was around financial services. Where I'm coming to, I want to give an example. I'm coming to transport, okay? I'm traveling. But before then, bank services was around financial provisions and giving maybe access to professional services and helping for transfers. But all of a sudden, in the last couple of months, I get a phone call from a big banking corporation saying, wait a minute, but hold on, could you help us put together an educational program for our customers? I'm thinking, whoa, wait a minute. I thought you were a bank. What is the business of a bank with educational services? But that is because banks know customers and they've got a huge base. If banks can provide financial services to a customer, but what else does the customer need? The customer need education, insurance services, and so it opens up a Pandora box for partnerships to deliver services on multi-layer portfolios. So what do I mean? So travel companies, they're used to physical travel, so you have to go somewhere and pay to go somewhere. And over time, they've built a reputation for logistic management because it's quite a big deal in terms of how do you manage receiving someone's application online, booking their fare, booking their hotel services, and a whole range of things. But then the question is this customer base that used to travel, that no longer travel. Look at me, I'm not traveling anymore, but I still need some things. And so can traveling companies innovate either as individual companies or through multi-layer interactions by partnerships to provide interesting services and products to their customer base on the back of making it easy for motion, making it easy for that fluidity in actually people achieving their goals. And so only travel companies who are thinking outside the box. I mean, look at Amazon is now doing Amazon Prime. It used to be Netflix before. What is happening? People are innovating. Now Apple is going, well, wait a minute, we want to be in that space. Now there's Apple TV. My point is, if you're stuck in the past and thinking, well, I can operate in traditional sense of your service provision, you would struggle because except you are able to view your customer as a functioning organism that requires lots of entry points and lots of demands and requests, and you're able to map it against what you can provide. And if you cannot provide it, who can you partner with to provide it? Then you will struggle. So my advice to travel companies is innovate. Ask those questions. People always traveled like me, no longer traveling. What do you need? Well, ask me. Even though I'm not traveling, I still have needs. And if you're able to provide those needs for me, because it's already a customer satisfaction, I've worked with you as a travel company for a long time. So I trust you. There's an element of trust. So if you are giving me an extra service on top of what I was having before, the chances are I am more likely to respond to you. If Facebook tomorrow opens an e-commerce platform to sell products, do you know how many people respond to it? Quite a lot, because they trust Facebook. Even though before now it's barely been on social interaction on that basis.
Well, absolutely, absolutely. So change is the only constant, huh? So we need to change ahead. Now, with this, I have another thing in mind, that how do you see capex? And I want Ali Saeed and Asim one and after another to answer this. How do you see capital expenditure by corporations into diversification and into enabling their staff to cope up this situation, to facilitate them in the new normal? Asim Saab, first to you.
Okay. Thank you, Faisal sir. Now, when we are talking about capex and when we are going to go into a new business, that is what Dr. Odon said. So the major difference could be created, or it's not only by the availability of the finance. That suppose there are many organizations, they have a lot of money to invest in a new or diversified business. But the most important thing is entrepreneurial culture. I'm talking about from Pakistan's perspective, that in Pakistan's, if we are talking about multinational organizations, so then it's okay that they have an entrepreneurial culture and they're always willing and they welcome the out of the box concept and thinking. But when we talk about Pakistani national organizations, even if the availability of the funds is not an issue, but the problem is that when the employees of those organizations think out of the box and they bring that particular concept to the top management, I'm totally talking about from a different perspective here. Okay, so the thing is that the national organizations, the decision makers, they never ever try to bring and they never encourage the concept of entrepreneurial skills in that organization. And when the highly talented employees are bringing and giving a new concept, so even if the availability of the product, availability of the fund is there, they don't welcome. And that is the reason that national organizations are not changing themselves the way they should, and the multinational organizations are snatching the market share from national organizations. So capex is an issue for, but that is not the big issue. The biggest issue is that welcome the new ideas of employees working in that organization, bring entrepreneurial culture in the organization, and only then out of the box thinking is possible for the organizations, especially national Pakistani organizations.
Right, fair enough. Yes, Mr. Ali Said, how do you see it? Asim Saab has highlighted that financial is one of the aspects, but not the only one. The bigger one is the approach, the ideology, the concept of the local organizations. How do you see it? Because you are a trainer as well.
Well, it depends, because we cannot sum up in the entire corporate culture of any country into one size fits all equation. It's different. It's going to be different for every one of them. For example, if you're looking at large scale manufacturing industries like pharmaceutical, sugar, cement, steel, auto manufacturers, I don't think they'll have a big cultural shift. Of course, the business travelers that go from Tokyo back to Karachi or Lahore, or Korea to Karachi or Lahore. Well, of course, the business travel would be limited, but most of their uses will be done. They will not be using technology is that great of a platform. But retail companies, financial services companies, their capex is going to be digital, definitely digital. I'll just give you an example. I'm working for a bank right now, and I'm doing a consultancy for them. They are implementing 50 check deposit kiosk points in Karachi and 40 check deposit kiosk points in Lahore. They're also allowing their customers to walk into a kiosk, a digital kiosk, and print a pay order. The products that they'll be launching in March 2021 are going to be debit cards printed, credit cards printed, replaced on the go without a single human intervention. So you walk into a digital kiosk, you give in your details, and everything is done right then and there on a machine. So of course, capital expenditure will now happen. So we have an example of Standard Chartered in Pakistan, which had 150 branches 4 years ago. They came down to 100. Now they're down to 65. Their business revenue has gone up 3 times in the same size. They're concentrating on the digital footprint that they can create, and they don't probably want this huge network of hundreds and thousands of branches. So that you have a model. So with financial services, of course, technology will be a very strong parameter, and capex will be an area where they'll be investing heavily. Retail companies such as these fast-moving consumer good companies such as Pepsi, they'll be spending a lot more money on social media, because let's be honest, we're using a lot more YouTube and Facebook and Snapchat than we are watching our television screens. So of course that money will also, marketing will also be done on those areas as well. But for large scale manufacturing or those conventional orthodox businesses, I think it'll again be about efficiencies and trying to maximize the potential and the output of the scale at which they're operating. So not a huge difference to them. But yes, retail companies, financial services companies, anything to do with asset management, banking, insurance, all of them will be coming down to your phone on apps.
Very true, very true. Now, I would like to highlight one thing more, that this digital dependency is leading to digital pandemic, because we become used to of such digitalization. So the next question I would like to ask to Dr. Odo would be on the safety and security measure, the hacking of the digital world that we see around so much more in the world as compared to earlier. How do you see it because of the moving every single person almost on the digital world? How do you see the hacking of information and misuse of information?
So the way I say this is maybe to kind of paint a picture of the way I see this. So I've been doing a lot of kind of good research on this in the last several months, and in my mind, before COVID, when you're interacting with a customer, fundamentally, there are what I call the 5 C's within transactions. And what do I mean? So there's a crew, that's the individuals, either the buyer or the seller. There's the content or the product, what you are given, the transactional leverage. There's the collaboration, so the interaction between you and the person that forms the basis for the transfer of the good or service between both of you. Then there is a control. So, for example, complaints, I don't like it, or can you refund it? All of that in play. And then finally, is the context. So basically, that would depend from one jurisdiction to the other. Now, if you move those 5 C's online, okay, now, the best company or the best operator or the best service provider who is able to maintain their customer base and even grow them in a digital economy is that company who is able to maintain these 5 C's effectively. And trust me, it gets more difficult once you move from face-to-face or physical interactions to online. But your capacity to maintain the crew, the content collaboration, the control, and the context is absolutely crucial. Fundamentally, the better or the less virtual an interaction feels to the customer, okay, the more the customer engages with you, even if it happens on virtual platforms. So what do I mean? The more you are able to make life easy or feel like the customer is physically in the shop to buy what they are buying, okay, even though it's virtually, the more it's easy for you. So I want to highlight your question goes to the control part of the 5 C's. That is fundamentally because you've left those physical spaces where there is element of interaction within a concise space and you've gone virtually. There is now the influence of other parameters, other dimensions, and obviously the crooks and the hackers come into view. So you cannot fully effectively function in this digital space without having your control under lock and key. Or else, as a matter of fact, your potential for crisis is higher on digital space as it is on the physical space because you are opened up to people you don't even know exist. If I am in my office and you walk into my office, I can count how many people came to my office because I can see them, what they wore, their shirt, whatever it is. But in the virtual space, there are people who are trying to get access to your platforms without you even knowing where they are from. And because there is a breakdown of geographical spaces or geographical interactions, it makes it more difficult. So my point is, you cannot function effectively if you think about the digital economy without understanding the control aspect. So fundamentally, within your provision, what are the quality assurance measures? What are the, if like the interactive measures? What are the security measures you have to put in place to ensure that the customer feels safe, interact with you, but also you feel safe, interact with your customers, and that is absolutely non-negotiable.
That I just as you have highlighted the change of business. You can call it the cross sell. For example, Uber and Kareem, they were more into traveling, and now they have switched their business towards delivery of daily household items and eateries. So certainly, it is the change that they need to bring within the company. What about again? I would like to question that where do you see the new generation, for example, the younger generation, I must say, to be precise, because they have the energy that is not getting consumed because as they were outside playing and all such things. So how do you see they can be used and how their energy can be used in the digitalization process? Because their approach to the digitalized world is very different than what we or the elder generations have. I would like to ask himself first, how do you see this thing to be used?
I think that nowadays social media platforms are highly influenced, they are the ones that are influencing on the lives of the consumers, especially if you're talking about the young generation. So what or how the corporate world or how the business community has to engage with them is that the most important thing is that the youngsters are ready to listen, but they listen to only those whom they trust a lot. So if we channelize the energies of the youngsters, as you just said, so the influencers from each and every corner of the life should be there, because the youngsters are not willing to utilize all the services, products, and all the channels that are available if someone is not going to influence their mindset, and their mindset would be influenced only when they trust someone. And for that, the corporate world or whatever the organizations are working in our society and whatever the services they are providing, I'm not only talking about the profit oriented organizations, but not profit oriented organizations as well, that if they really want to convince, that they want to influence, and they want these organizations to be used by the youngsters, so they have to highlight the importance, they should realize the importance of influencers, the mentoring, the coaching concept, so that those youngsters would be able to utilize the services and their energies would be utilized in a proper channel that would bring change in the society.
Right. Dr. Udo, what do you say on this? Because the UK is almost halted because of the pandemic. So, what is your take to it?
So for me, I think the level of mental crisis has just gone off the roof,
Absolutely.
believe it or not. Before COVID, the young people were already getting disconnected from reality in terms of their over dependence on social space. And so, because that is critically in their DNA, because of their generation, smart companies, smart innovators, smart development of corporations, whatever it is you want to integrate to increase the positivity of the space, you cannot do it without understanding that it has to be driven on those social spaces. Whatever public good, development base, or a professional, whatever the case is, understand that these are those environments that these young people live and grow in. I'm African and I'm crazy about Africa. But the point is, not only Africa, just the way you have developing economies, the young generation are the future of our continent. And unless there is a high level strategy from government, from high level institutions to focus some energy on this younger generation, we are heading for an even bigger crisis than COVID. That's true. Because except you're able to develop those energies into those positive spaces for them to actually grow their capacity for the public good, societal good, they were in trouble. I mean, I remember I was speaking to a group of 200, about 200 final year students of a university. That was like a few weeks ago. And me doing the conversation, I'm asking them, I'm saying, so how many of you are loving the course you are doing? These are final year students, by the way. And only 50% of them had their hands up. I'm wondering, wait a minute, what's going on here? But when I asked them, how many of you have a hobby, an interest, a passion you love? Over 95% of them were sure of their passion and their interest. So they're not sure of their course of study, but they were sure of their passion and interest. So imagine if a university understood that. It means you're able to what I call career alignment, to align the course of study with their passion and interest, and through the economy, divert those alignments into what would make it positive for them to grow. There are students who study banking in university, but they love fashion design. What can you help them to get those two spaces in some sense aligned? And what the economy that we now live in shows is that there's an opportunity for institutions to be able to help this alignment. Or you find young people studying 3 years in the university, but then because they are now lost in those spaces, they're not able to translate what they love doing, what makes them happy, to be able to be positive in the environment. I think that's absolutely crucial. Or else we're heading for another kind of crisis if the young generation are not taken care consideration about.
So this is a channelization that we need to into. So great. Now next thing is that I will ask Mr. Asim on this. How do you see the digital currency? For example, if you're talking about bitcoins, because from the SBP perspective, they are not allowed so far by State Bank of Pakistan. And if you have followed the recent news which is circulated in the during the last week and related to the use of bitcoins in non-technical ways and prohibited areas. How do you see this digitalization will change the how State Bank is looking at digital currencies?
If you're talking about the digital currency, especially bitcoins, so yes, people are investing here. This is a new medium, or this is a new area where people could invest money. And yes, security was the biggest concern initially. And now what's happening that now the organizations that are taking care of Bitcoins, they are educating the potential customers all over the world, because there is a negative there is a negative publicity about bitcoins, that it's all fake, it's virtual, and it may collapse at any time. So now even I have seen on BBC and CNN that these organizations, these media channels are promoting and bringing and broadcasting the concepts and talking about the security issues, that how these very well designed programs are controlling the demand and supply of bitcoins. So yes, but all over the world, people are slowly and gradually moving towards that. But if I'm talking about Pakistan's perspective, so still this is being treated as a virtual currency, and Pakistan's perspective is slowly different. We believe that anything that we could hold, that thing is being treated as safe and secured investment. So if I talk about from Pakistan's perspective, I don't think so that State Bank would be able to educate and change the mindset and let them understand the investors to invest in bitcoins, because of fraud and these things are very common in Pakistan. So people are not ready to rely on bitcoins, even if Security Exchange Commission or State Bank of Pakistan and all the commercial banks are ready to give the security and assurance to Pakistani investors. I'm talking about small investors.
All right, fair enough.
Can I
Yes, please, Dr. Odo.
yeah, so because when you mentioned currency, and it just sparked something in my mind, which is, I think is very, very, very important. It actually ties my last question you asked me and this new one about currencies. And I can't help thinking about the need to also emphasize what I call social currencies in this era. Okay? What do I mean? We live in a world where social interaction is absolutely crucial, crucial engagement. But the point is the best time for young people and individuals, professionals to develop their social currencies, because it is absolutely crucial for you to be able to spend to grow your capacity in the new era, in this era. Social currencies. I know a common saying is time is money. Okay, time is money. And so when I talk about, well, let's take it literally. It's time is money. It means actually, the more time you have, the more money you can spend. That's what it means. It also means that many people spend their time, and this is what this era, this is like the negativity of the digital era. Many people spend their time on things that have no social value or development to their personal and professional spaces. So a typical way to put it is this. If I ask someone and say, well, which would you prefer? Would you prefer to go to a bank, follow me, and invest money, time, okay, in a bank that has an amazing sofa, beautiful, nice, pretty buildings, incredible furniture, but 5% interest? Or would you prefer to go to a bank that has okay furniture, is just okay, but 20% interest? What would you prefer to spend your time, to spend your currency? Logically, everyone will know you spend your currency in spaces where there is a potential for huge investments. In the same vein, it's absolutely crucial for people to understand that, before COVID, when I meet young people and I say, you always told me you love writing, but when last did you write? And they will tell me, oh my goodness, I don't have time. I am in class 24/7, there is no time. And during COVID, they had time because they were on lockdown. So I asked many of them, so that book you are going to write, have you written it? Now you have time. So what's the excuse? So except you're able to understand your social currency, which includes your skills, your time management, your capacity, your knowledge, your partnership, is the best time to build a portfolio of social currency. And if you know what you are doing, you are able to spend it when you require to get the optimal value and good you need.
Absolutely, absolutely, Dr. Odo. So this is what it is actually. How do we need to utilize the resources? Coming back to the first thing that you have mentioned,
Absolutely.
and Mr. Asim and Ali has mentioned that how do we are going to channelize the resources that we have is the next thing that is going to divert and highlight our future prospects. Over here I would like to end this session and would really like to thank Dr. Odo for sharing such you can call it the powerful thoughts with us, and channelizing your resources with us. Thank you, Mr. Asim. Thank you, Mr. Ali. Thank you, Imad Saab, for this lovely opportunity. And Umar, before I end, this session, I would like to just, the crux of it that we all have discussed over here. Utilization of the resources is the prime thing that we need to understand. Diversification,
Yeah.
how we can diversify in the current position that we have, in the current business that we have, in the current environment that we have, in the current with the current available resources that we have. Then capital expenditure. How do we need to utilize the resources to multiply what we have today for the betterment of the environment around us? Then social currency, as Dr. Odo has highlighted, it is one of the integral part. I must quote, there is a powerful saying that whatever you do in life, always remember your objective. If your objective is to fly with eagles, don't waste your time in swimming with ducks.
True.
So highlight what you really want to achieve. This is the time, this is the opportunity. There is no tomorrow, it's all today. So yesterday is a history, future is a mystery, today is a gift. That is why we call it present. So with this keynote, I would like to end this session and thank you everyone. Thank you